Welcome to Elderly Care, where your well-being comes first. I'm Dr. Winston, a geriatric specialist with over 30 years of experience helping older adults live healthier, more fulfilling lives. If you're over 60 and looking for calm, thoughtful guidance on aging well, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, you've come to the right place. In today's video, we'll explore a perspective that may surprise you, but might just bring you the peace you've been quietly seeking. Let's begin. The quiet strength of solitude. Why being single after 70 might be a gift in disguise. Helen sat quietly in her garden, her fingers brushing the soft petals of a blooming rose. The sun was gentle on her skin, and the birds sang as if they knew her story. At 72, she had lived through great love and greater loss. Her husband of 46 years had passed just after their golden anniversary. For months, she felt like a ship untethered in the open sea. Friends encouraged her to find someone new. They meant well, but they didn't understand. The silence in her home had slowly become a companion, not a punishment, and eventually Helen realized something profound. She was no longer afraid of being alone. In fact, she had come to cherish it. For generations, society has painted companionship as the ultimate goal, even more so in later life. There's an underlying assumption that to be elderly and single is to be lonely. But what if that idea needs revisiting? What if, for those of us past 70, being single isn't a sign of absence, but a quiet kind of freedom? Research and psychology now point to an important truth many seniors are beginning to embrace. Staying single after 70 might not just be acceptable. It might be healthier, more peaceful, and more empowering than we ever imagined. Let us take a calm walk through the reasons, rooted not in fear or bitterness, but in wisdom, experience, and the gentle unfolding of what it truly means to live well in your later years. It begins with the first and perhaps most powerful reason: peace of mind. Many older adults find that being single brings with it an emotional steadiness that relationships, especially new ones, often disrupt. At this stage of life, people have often already weathered decades of emotional highs and lows, family responsibilities, caregiving roles, and all the complications that come with long-term companionship. There's a deep fatigue that sets in. Not a sadness, but a yearning for peace, predictability, and emotional safety. Being alone allows seniors to protect their emotional space. There's no pressure to explain mood swings, no risk of misunderstandings over daily routines, no emotional roller coasters from differing values or expectations. Instead, there's quiet, there's reflection, and for many, that calm becomes sacred. Margaret, a retired nurse living in Arizona, described her experience after leaving a late-life relationship. "I thought companionship was what I needed," she said, "but it turned out I just needed time with myself, to hear my own thoughts again without someone else's voice layered over them. My blood pressure dropped. I started sleeping better. I didn't realize how tense I had been until the tension was gone." This leads us naturally to the second reason: health and autonomy. Physical health becomes more delicate with age. After 70, chronic conditions such as arthritis, heart disease, or diabetes become common companions. Managing these requires a consistent routine, specific diets, and rest. Being single allows older adults to prioritize their own health without compromise. They can eat what their body needs, wake and sleep on their own rhythm, exercise without having to coordinate, and rest without guilt. There's also a psychological component. Studies have shown that seniors who feel in control of their daily life report higher levels of well-being and lower rates of depression. Autonomy becomes a form of medicine. In many relationships, even loving ones, compromise is constant, but compromise can become burdening when one or both partners require care, when needs differ significantly, or when lifestyles no longer align. In these cases, staying single doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. It means preserving energy for oneself, something that becomes more essential with each passing year. Think of George, a widower who was encouraged to remarry by his adult children. He tried dating again at 76, but found that he spent more time worried about someone else's needs than his own. She was lovely, he said of his short-lived partner, but it felt like I was stepping back into an old role I had already played. My knees were hurting. I had doctor appointments. I needed naps. I couldn't keep pretending to be more energetic than I was. And I missed just being able to sit in my recliner and listen to classical music without having to talk. There's a soft kind of joy in that simplicity. The third reason often goes unspoken, but it's one that many seniors quietly nod to: freedom from emotional caretaking. For much of life, older adults have served as emotional anchors. They've raised children, supported spouses through job losses, family conflicts, illnesses, and grief. They have spent their energy being the strong one, the calm one, the understanding one. But who supports them? In late-life relationships, even well-intentioned ones, this emotional caretaking can continue. Seniors may feel obligated to soothe a partner's insecurities, adapt to their anxieties, or manage their moods. It can feel like emotional labor, a type of weight that grows heavier with age. But when you're single, you are free to finally prioritize your own feelings. You can explore your inner world without the noise of another's emotions clouding your view. You can have a sad day without explaining it. You can cry during an old movie without having to justify why. You can laugh at a private memory without worrying someone will feel left out. Dr. Elaine Morris, a psychologist specializing in geriatric mental health, puts it this way: after 70, emotional space is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. The nervous system becomes more sensitive. The need for peace increases. Seniors who don't feel responsible for another person's emotional well-being often experience a kind of healing they didn't even know they needed. Healing. That word stays with us, and it brings us to the fourth reason: rediscovery of self. A lifetime of roles, spouse, parent, caregiver, employee, often leaves little room for personal exploration. But aging offers a unique opportunity to return to yourself. Who were you before all the responsibilities? What books did you want to read? What cities did you want to see? What dreams did you quietly bury so others could thrive? Being single can allow seniors to reconnect with forgotten interests, discover new hobbies, and invest in personal growth. Whether it's joining a painting class, starting a memoir, learning to garden, or simply taking slow walks in the park, these moments become acts of self-affirmation. Rosemary, 81, found herself alone after her husband passed. Everyone assumed she would be devastated, and she was at first. But with time, something unexpected happened. I started painting again, she said, like I did before I met him. I had buried that part of me for so long, and then it just returned. Every morning, I pour my coffee, look out at the sunrise, and pick up my brush. It's like I'm meeting myself for the first time. To meet oneself after 70. What a precious gift. And finally, perhaps the most compelling reason of all, protecting your energy and avoiding unnecessary conflict. Not all late-life relationships are filled with sweetness. Many are born of loneliness, fear of being alone, or societal pressure. Unfortunately, these foundations are shaky. As people age, they become more set in their routines, more protective of their beliefs, and less tolerant of unnecessary drama. Bringing two lives together at this stage can be like trying to merge two rivers that have carved their own deep paths for decades. Arguments over trivial things, TV volume, sleep schedules, diet choices, can quickly escalate. Differences in family dynamics, financial habits, or even political views can stir tension. And unlike youthful couples who can grow together over time, seniors often find that change is harder now. There's little desire to bend, and that's not a flaw. It's wisdom hard-earned. Being single allows older adults to sidestep conflict, preserve their emotional and mental well-being, and remain the captain of their own life. James, 78, put it plainly, "I love my peace too much to share it with someone who doesn't value it as much as I do." Peace, autonomy, emotional space, self-discovery, protection of energy. These aren't luxuries, they're essentials. That doesn't mean being single is always easy. There are days when the silence is loud. Holidays can feel emptier, but that's not the whole picture. Solitude can be rich. A morning alone with your thoughts can be more nourishing than a conversation filled with forced pleasantries. An afternoon spent tending your own garden can bring more joy than a day spent adjusting your schedule around someone else's. It's important to understand, choosing to be single is not the same as giving up on love. Many seniors love deeply. Friends, grandchildren, neighbors, community. Love takes many shapes, but the most enduring kind might just be the love we give ourselves in the final chapters of our lives. So if you find yourself single past 70, don't rush to fill that space. Sit with it. Listen. It may have more to teach you than any companion ever could. And if others tell you that you shouldn't be alone, gently remind them that solitude is not emptiness. It's clarity. It's strength. It's freedom. Helen, now 76, still sits in her garden every morning. She watches the light shift through the trees and breathes in the quiet. "I thought I needed someone to complete me," she says with a smile, "but it turns out I just needed space to remember I was whole all along." Sometimes staying single isn't about avoiding something bad. It's about protecting something good, and that something is you. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this story. If today's reflections about finding peace in later life and the quiet strength of being alone without feeling lonely resonated with you, know that this journey is just beginning. We're here to share stories like these to help you feel seen, understood, and sometimes gently inspired to embrace change in a calm, positive way. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next video, where we'll continue exploring the quiet yet powerful truths of life after 60. Just one simple click, but it might open the door to a peaceful, fulfilling world waiting just ahead.